Over the next few decades, the Metaverse will become immensely more advanced and integrated in our daily lives. Some people think the Metaverse is just a hype. Others believe it to be the greatest evolution of the internet. Together with the sharpest minds in this space, we are going to explore the future of the Metaverse. We want to understand the impacts of this new world, and in this show, we will find the answers. Welcome to Metaverse Mentors.
So, good morning everyone, Samir Badawi, your host for Metaverse Mentors as always. Today I have a very special guest because we're not going to talk with a Metaverse company per se, but more kind of a Metaverse event company, which is very interesting because one of the aims of Metaverse Mentors is to study, to acquire knowledge about the latest trends and developments. What's a better place to acquire knowledge on an event or on a podcast or something else and hear it from people physically in real life and not only virtually via blogs, social media, etc. So Olga, thank you very much for joining Metaverse Men. It's very interesting in hearing your story and what you are doing.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Hey everyone, happy to be here in Metaverse Mentors today. I wouldn't call myself a mentor, though, but it's still a pleasure to be here. My name is Olga Yarshevsky. I'm with the Nextchange Group, and I had content strategy for large-scale international conferences dedicated to mostly blockchain, but now Metaverse and Web3 as well. I've been a journalist and a media worker for all my life, and I'm also a PhD in literary critics and philology, which doesn't have any connection to what I do now. Well, I've been in media for all my life, and in 2017, as maybe most of the people who are now in the industry, I found myself in the magnificent and fascinating environment of blockchain and fintech and everything related to emerging technologies which disrupt so many industries and change our lives daily. With Nextchange, we've been doing lots of events all over the world, and we were the initial hosts of Hong Kong Blockchain Week, Singapore Blockchain Week. We hosted our own Africa Blockchain Week last year, and then Greater Bay Area of China Blockchain Week. And then since last year, we relocated to the Middle East, and we hosted Gulf Blockchain Week in October. And then we found out that actually, so our events have been traditionally focused on blockchain development and different applications of blockchain, both financial and non-financial, and enterprise applications. And we also hosted events on health tech, on AI, on fintech, and then naturally from the field of emerging technologies, Metaverse and everything related to what we now call Web3 emerged. And so we noticed very, rapidly growing interest from both community and the investor community in the Middle East and globally to everything related to Metaweek. And we actually talked about it during our first event in Dubai, which was Gulf Blockchain Week last October. And so we decided to, focus to dedicate a whole event to it, which ended up in Metaweek that we hosted in March this year. And it was so great. It was so successful. People were so interested, and we had so many interesting projects on board that we decided to extend the narrative and to host the second edition of Metaweek in September this year. So it's less than a month left until the second Metaweek, and it'll be an offline event in Dubai at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and so much looking forward to it. I'm responsible for building a program, a schedule for casting speakers and managing all the speaker engagement. So I guess it's a hard job, but it's a very interesting job. And I am very much excited about exploring all the metaverse related trends, and there are so many. So yeah, I think it's not just about the metaverse events, but maybe about building a strong and very curious community around the topic of metaverse, because I'm not sure that we still agree on what that term means.
100% not. I've heard already so many terms, and I'm surprised every time when I hear a new one. So I can completely recognize that. Thanks for sharing that rich and diverse background. You've mentioned that you have been organizing several events. You've been in the blockchain space since 2017, approximately. My question is, would you see similarities in terms of the audience that you saw in March at Metaweek compared to other blockchain events, or is there like a specific new target group that you have seen at these kind of metaverse events comparatively to blockchain
That's a good
events?
question. Actually, blockchain is as a technology has many, as we know, has many applications in many industries, right? And during our previous events, the audience consisted of both people who were already familiar with blockchain, developers, right? Like blockchain developers and non-blockchain too, and people from, let's say, like enterprise or corporate infrastructures, or business owners who would like to implement some of the blockchain solutions into their work, and they're just interested and curious how the things work, right? And there were also many people from government structures, because blockchain has been, talk of the town for so many years, and with Bitcoin going up and down, with all the new tokens emerging, and the craze about CBDCs and the stable coins. So there were like so many trends, and they've been changing like every other month. So I think it's for the audience. What One of the benefits of the metaverse is that it actually helps to increase a community for any brand that uses metaverse, for any I don't know, for any even metaverse developer, or for anyone who would like to address new audiences or just expand their community. Because as Vitalik Buterin once said, um, this should not be a solution for a digital nation only, right? So and we need to look at the mass adoption scale. And I think metaverse is the best tool for it. And everything that we think of when talking about Web3 is also the best tool for it. So metaverse is for the curious. Metaverse is for the new generation. And sometimes, I mean, if we put it this way, our kids are already there, right? And we don't need to educate them on that. I think they can do it. They can actually tell us how these things work. So I think it's about bridging the gap between generations. That's one, because to be honest, at Meta Week, I've seen more younger people than previously, and they're all very curious about what's going on. And then I think more people from non-financial world are interested in that, because there are so many applications for, let's say, fashion brands, right? For games and for gaming, for fitness applications, right? So this is nothing. This doesn't have anything to do with any boring government infrastructure or regulatory, decisions. So this is something else. I think it's about just expanding the audience and changing the age of the audience, because it gets younger, it gets bigger, and yeah, I think that's how mass adoption works.
Yeah, I recognize that as well during metaverse events. It attracts, yeah, kind of a wider audience in terms of demographics, younger people. I've also
Right,
seen a lot
artists.
of artists nowadays on these
Hmm.
events, fashion designers. So, yeah, great to hear that that trend is kind of similar in Dubai. But what I'm also interested in, speaking of curiosity, what intrigues you most about the developments in Web3 and Metaverse? Because as you mentioned, it is quite broad and there's so many topics or domains to pick from or to discover
Well,
more thoroughly.
actually, things that interest me the most can be seen on the conference agenda because I really try to put everything there. What interests the audience, what interests our community, and what interests me personally. So there are a few. First of all, I think Metaverse and everything related to Web3 is the perfect solution for big corporate players to enter this world, to maybe scale their enterprises, to I don't know, to maybe improve their infrastructure. And this can be really disrupting, and this can be, you know, the best solution for the overall company involvement in any on any level. And I'm talking about like big banking giants, big tech giants, telecom, fashion again. So there are so many possibilities, and it just needs to take some time for them to adapt, and also for solutions to be ready to be adapted. Let's put it this way. That's one. So it's transition from Web 2 to Web 3. Well, that's what I would call it. The next thing is, of course, the social impact. This is very important. And I think Metaverse in Web 3 is one of the strongest tools out there to explore ESG possibilities, social impact, and overall, set what we call like a digital pace for a better future, because there are so many communities affected. And yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot, about like social responsibilities, about social impact, about how big or small enterprises can change people's lives better for better, and bring social good to it with the help of Metaverse. And we're gonna have a panel on carbon credits in Web3. So even that. That's two. Three. I've been always fascinated by everything that was related to non-financial applications of blockchain. I'm talking about like digital IDs, supply chains, right? So many things that can actually affect our everyday lives. And it's not necessarily for you to know what a smart contract is, or how Bitcoin works, or how digital asset market works. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So there will be digital fashion, again, fitness, Metaverse for all kinds of businesses, right? And that's three. And four, of course, is the investment landscape, where we're going to have a lot of investors like attending our events, and building a community of investors has been one of our goals at Next Change Group for the past years. So I think, and I think we succeed. So we're going to have a lot of investors from Dubai and globally talking about how the investment landscape has changed and evolved with the emergence of Metaverse. And is it necessary to look at every project that has a metaverse element to it, or so it says, or which companies are on the rise, and how's the venture capital doing? So all kinds of stuff around investment. So this is something that we're gonna see on the agenda, and I'm very much excited because the speaker lineup is absolutely great.
Well, those were, I think, more than four action items. So I think that's super relevant. So let's say I am just a Web 2 company, or I don't really want to label Web 2 or Web 3, because a company is a company, and I think those are just
Not so much a
container terms.
distinction.
But I'm interested in this thing. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'm interested in this whole metaverse concept that's emerging. I'm like, okay, we are doing stuff in a particular way, but I know if I adopt this kind of technology or concept, we perhaps will win productivity efficiencies or acquire some other benefits. And I am going to Meta Week in September. Do you have some action items as to how to extract as much value on such an event? Because in my opinion, there are a variety of ways to go to such event, or either you attend these kind of seminars which are inspiring and then you go back home with full of motivation, sharing knowledge with people, and ultimately a couple months further nothing really happened, or you have been enjoying at the bar, having built some connections, but also after 2 months, yeah, nothing did really materialize. Do you have some action items as to how to extract as much value, but simultaneously, of course, also enjoy the event as much as possible? Because I think it's a combination. You are not only working and studying and
Well,
networking there, of course.
the structure is quite simple. We have a core 2-day summit, which will happen on September 12th and 13th. And the biggest box that you should tick is this to attend the summit. Um, well, we're gonna have a huge exhibition. We're gonna have 2 stages of content. You should just check the schedule and maybe mark those sessions that would be the most interesting. And one of the great things about offline conferences is that you can actually meet all the speakers. And if you're interested in anyone in particular, you can just approach this person and say like, "Hi, how are you? I was like fascinated by your speech," or something like that. And this applies for, I don't know, like conference time and stage time and to networking events as well. So I would suggest to attend as many sessions during the summit. Say hi to me if you see me there. I'm gonna be emceeing the stage the whole day, so you won't miss me. Check the projects at the exhibition area. Check the projects that will be presenting themselves, because these are top projects from the industry, and in so many different areas, like from gaming to metaverse building to digital fashion again, and that's, I guess that's two. And three is, I strongly suggest checking our website, themetaweek.com, and check the schedule of side events, because side events and networking events like dinner, cocktails, workshops is one of the most interesting things about any conference, right? Especially in Dubai. And of course, there will be ways to sign up for as many side events as you can, and to meet people there. So I guess that's the goal of the whole networking, networking challenge at every conference. You just go to an event to mix and mingle, to meet people, and to see who's out there. Dubai is the perfect, vibrant place to be, and the community is amazing, and very friendly and very very open, and it you know it even became has become more friendly and more interesting since the pandemic, I would say, because so many people have moved there since the COVID pandemic in 2020. So yeah, so right, attend the conference, say hi to as many people as you can. Attend all the interesting sessions which are marked on the conference agenda, and check the side events, of course.
Yeah, thanks for that. You already touched upon it a little bit, like Dubai super vibrant, innovative space. You also share that you have been
Yeah.
organizing conferences in Africa, in Asia. What are the differences if you look at the event, particularly in Dubai, comparative to other regions? Because yeah, I think it's super cool that it's there, and it's definitely an unique experience. But yeah, what's your
So
experience been?
Dubai is definitely one of the front runners, the global front runners when it comes to adopting new technologies, and this is absolutely amazing. Like the pace that they've picked up, so over the last years, see, we even have a new virtual asset regulatory framework in Dubai introduced just now, and the Dubai Metaverse strategy launched just several weeks ago. And the high committee for that strategy and for implementing all the metaverse and blockchain solutions. This is amazing, and I have to say that the overall attitude towards cutting edge technologies is different. It's not too cautious. It's very People are very curious about everything there, and they're ready to look at new solutions. And they especially like I don't know, like I think especially investors community, they're very open to exploring new possibilities. And as for the audience and community, I think well, for example, in Asia, people are absolutely, they're crazy about new technologies, and this is I remember that when we hosted the Greater Bay Area of China Blockchain Week, we talked so much about so many interesting implementations in the banking system, right? The national blockchain system. It was absolutely amazing. And this applies to business applications and enterprise applications. And this was great. As for Dubai and Middle East, I think it would be fair to say that they're interested in both financial and non-financial applications. So, for example, we had an amazing use case at the previous event of ours at Gulf Blockchain Week in October. There's the first blockchain-based system, which is called UAE Trade Connect, which is backed by the telecom company, one of the biggest in the region. And this is basically a blockchain platform for trade finance, which unites, I think, like up to 10, maybe at this point, up to 10 banks in the region, and also the customs. So this is all blockchain based, right? So this is how it works, not only in the private sector, not only in traditional finance, but also, you see, like in a platform like this, like uniting and connecting so many dots in so many industries. I think, yeah, the overall like curiosity and raising interest for cutting edge technologies combined with so many possibilities and absolutely friendly environment for both startups and big companies coming on board. You know, this is what we can call Dubai metaverse and blockchain character.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the mindset that's required and needed in this space, because it develops so fast. And if you have a mindset like, okay, I've acquired or I've seen these kind of things, and this is how it's going to unfold in a couple of years, then I think you're really soon finding out that that's not
Right.
the case, because it's moving so extremely fast, and you need to educate and explore continuously what's going on around you. So yeah, I relate to that, and I recognize the enthusiasm there as well from the people. What are perhaps some areas or some domains that you're like, okay, here is perhaps some challenges or misconceptions that need to be clarified about this space? Because it's very easy to get exciting about a lot of new stuff, which is completely natural, but simultaneously we are not there yet. There is a lot of infrastructure stuff, but perhaps you have some challenges top of mind that you would like to clarify or
That's a
touch
good
upon.
one. I think one of the biggest challenges for any metaverse right now is actually interoperability and interconnectivity. Because in the ideal world, I think any of us would be happy to, you know, to perceive themselves as Doctor Strange that really jumps through the multiverse and different dimensions very easily, like with a snap of a finger. And I think this is what would apply to to metaverse or to different metaverses built, so that you could have your avatar doing, I don't know, doing laundry in one metaverse, and then going out for a party in another metaverse, and then hanging out with friends in the third one, and then going back to work and building your own business and community in the fourth one. So that's fascinating, and that this is like maybe one of the goals, like the end game for all the metaverse development. But the problem is, yeah, the problem is still in the underlying technology, the infrastructure. So interoperability, interconnectivity, and the possibility for metaverse technologies to be interoperable. I think this is one of the biggest challenges now.
Well, I think we have touched already on such a variety of action items, both in real life to meet people, learn from them. But you've also been a journalist in the past. What are your ways to stay up to date, or tips that you can give to stay up to date and educated, and on top of the latest Web3 developments, apart from going
Well,
to
I have to
Metaweek, of
say
course?
it's hard to keep up because everything like it changes so rapidly. So many things happen every day. Well, I think the best way to is to just identify a few media sources that you trust and to follow their updates or social media updates in a more convenient format, at least every other day, and sign up for I wouldn't say as many newsletters as you can, because at the end of the day there are too many. You just swipe through them on your mailbox and you delete most of them. But there are a few newsletters that I like, and I signed up for them a while ago, and they're still helpful, and I really respect like people's media and deep dive journalistic work. Um, and I also try to watch as many interviews as I can with industry leaders. And well, what helps me personally is that I'm in touch with with most of them on everyday basis, since we have to do all the speaker management stuff. Um, I guess I'm lucky with that. Another tip is, of course, attend as many offline events as you can, um, and meet as many people as you can, and try to identify people that you like, not necessarily someone else likes, right? Because there can be like fake influencers. There's so many out there. So people that you like, people that you follow, and if you see them promoting any offline event or organizing ones in your area, or maybe in the in a neighboring country, I would strongly suggest going there, because um, online events are great and they save us so much time and effort and travel costs, but still, you know, offline networking, it really works. And
Yeah, I think it's a unique dynamic. Nothing replaces face to face. Of course, virtual is very convenient, and it definitely does have its perks. But if you ask me what were the most deep and meaningful experiences, those were definitely face to face. So I recognize that. You touch also slightly upon fake influences, which I can resonate. I've seen that as well. What are for you? If you would advise someone who is new into the space, like kind of red flags where like, okay, these are some highlights or hallmarks to pay attention on when doing research and discerning noise from like legitimate nuanced
mm,
stuff.
well, it's always hard to tell. But those rules apply to anything that you do. Do your own research, and if possible, do your own due diligence.
But how do you do
I
your
ask
own
around.
research if you do not know what the right way of doing
I
your
actually ask
research is?
around
Exactly.
because I know many people in the space, and I know many people who have like strong media relations. So, for example, if I see someone's article top in one of the top media sources, I'm like, is that really a real article, or is that a deep dive research? Is that does this person have a real, I don't know, like Instagram or YouTube account? Um, and if we're talking about, let's say, video bloggers who choose video format, for me, it's easy to say like how much time, effort, and sources they put into producing a video blog because I've been a media manager for all my life. So maybe judging on that, I don't know. And you can
What do you mean particularly with video blogs? Like also this kind of format or different stuff where an individual is talking about we have this coins and this are the trends,
Oh,
etc.
you
Or
know,
what do
I
you
don't
particularly mean with
actually,
that?
I'm not an expert on this, and I know that many influencers have become crypto millionaires by just putting out videos on
Hmm.
trading strategies, and I know there are so many cases in that, but um, I'm no expert in that. I can't say I've ever followed any of these people, but some of them I know personally, and I know that what they've been doing have been, fair and legit. But this is again comes down to a personal connection, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yes, but I think your journalism background is very helpful as well because you can really kind of detect like okay, this is some really good stuff, qualitative, reputable sources
True,
compared to something who's just writing a very generic article that is just
true.
replicate from other sources. Can you perhaps share your kind of screening mechanism where like okay, these are things that I find interesting and that really resonate with you because you have this kind of journalistic
Well,
lens. I think it's
it
interesting.
really depends on the topic, and the easiest thing is just to check the author's name and see like if they have a history of I don't know, any articles posting and what are the media sources, and how deep the research is, and how many times they quote legit sources or researchers, because there are so many out there. And most of the, you know, biggest research companies and even auditing companies globally know they've already they post researchers on everything related to crypto and blockchain. I don't know, every month. There's so much data out there. So how often do they quote legit sources? How like how many angles do they put into an article without just, putting a generic information and trying to educate people on, I don't know, basic things. That's the thing. And of course, as you mentioned, um, I guess one of the biggest markers is when they try to convince you to buy something. This is a red flag.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know we would have a literature podcast, but I think it are some valuable items. So how often is paraphrased and resources mentioned? How many angles? Because I can also see that an article sometimes is very
True.
one-sided, and I think it's always nice when both perspectives are shared, so I can give my own interpretation. Onto it instead of just having one side, and of course the conviction part of that. So let's fast forward 5, perhaps 10 years. We cannot look into the future, but we can imagine what it will be like. What would be an ideal state of Web3, Metaverse, and companies as a whole in like 5 years for
Oh,
you?
that's a good question. Well, I was at a meetup yesterday, last night, which was about NFTs, and we talked about how, you know, for example, if there's an event and organizers offer like free NFT airdrop for everybody out there, people just like, what is NFT? what should I do? Shall I download a wallet? Like, do I need a MetaMask wallet? And this is how it actually works. So ideally, I don't know, like 70% of people would have a wallet for digital assets, a wallet for NFTs, and you know, to just smoothen the user experience. Um, as for Metaverse, I think it still comes down to technology, and we're still in the very early stages, especially when it comes to using headsets, right? And AR and VR equipment, and it's still a challenge. So I really hope that this would be, you know, this would be like this goal would be fulfilled at some point. Maybe not tier 10, but maybe 20 years from now, hopefully. And um, there is another challenge out there, and it's purely about infrastructure and accessibility to basic internet in many areas out there. So we're talking about metaverse and Web3 here, and there are people out there who don't have access to internet, or I don't know, like 4G or 5G networks. And I think we should solve this problem first, so that the what we
Yeah.
call a mass adoption would be possible with it.